Use some fabric you have no idea what to do with? Well, we're going to dress our table with some pretty fun fabric, the Baby Lock Accomplish, and we're going to master that rolled hem foot. Hi, I'm Kathy. This is Sew and Tech Talk. So we have a handout for today's video. It's this great pack of thread. So every time you like, share, or comment, you're entered for a chance to win a pack of thread. So good luck. So, do you have this fabric? I have some fabric I like to call WIT. W-W-I-T. It stands for What Was I Thinking? It's cute. It's adorable. I bought it. I have it. I want to enjoy it every day. So I'm going to make some napkins and placemats out of my WIT fabric. And what I did, from a half-yard piece, I cut two 17-inch squares, and they could be whatever size that you want. This seems to work well. And I have that little bit of fabric left over from a half yard that I can use for a quilt or something like that. So I'm going to prepare this fabric to make my napkin out of it by going ahead and cutting off about a 1/4 inch on the corners, and I use fray check on that very raw edge. I don't want it to fray when I'm turning this corner. And I trim the corner because I'm going to use the narrow hem foot. This foot is pretty cool. The narrow hem foot comes with the Baby Lock Accomplish. Maybe it came with your machine as well. What it does is it has a corkscrew on the very front of the foot that turns the fabric and then turns the fabric again. And it forms an exquisite, very tiny little hem. It's just beautiful. More than you could even do by pressing anything with an iron, this foot does it. And it does it so well that it's really hard to mess it up once you get in the groove. Now, the issue is when we're going to turn a corner, we have lots of little layers of fabric in there, so that's why we need to trim that corner. I have been using all of my WIT fabric for napkins. They make great hostess gifts, and kids love it. If you don't have WIT fabric, go out and get some fun fabrics for kids. They just love it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a handle to get this fabric started when I pull it around and under the foot. I'm going to take the fabric and I am going to get this fabric to I'm going to put this fabric, the fold of the fabric, into this corkscrew. But I need some help because when I start it, especially because I clipped that corner, I don't have anything for the feed dogs to grab. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the one side and I'm going to stitch about 2 or 3 inches in, about 1/8 of an inch from that edge. So now I'm going to lift up the foot, and if you can see, I have a bit of thread here, and I'm going to use that as a handle to help me pull that side into the foot. So I'm going to turn my fabric around. Now this is how the fabric needs to look in the foot. I'm going to come on down here a little bit so that you can see. The one thing that's great about the Baby Lock Accomplish is it has a knee lever, and I can use that knee lever to just gently lift and lower the foot to take some pressure off that fabric so that I can adjust it. So I'm going to use my knee lever, and I'm just going to show you how that fabric should feed through that foot. It should feed through so that this folded edge right here is right along that outside edge, and right along this groove here is the raw edge of the fabric. Now I use the seam guide in the Baby Lock Accomplish because it's adjustable side to side and front to back, and I can literally put it right in the foot to hold that fold right where I want it to be, and I can swing it out of the way when I don't need it. So I have it down there. I'm going to swing it out of the way so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to pull my fabric back, and I really don't have that much to grab at the very beginning of it, but I have a handle to help me. So I'm going to pull it back here, get it so that it's just starting on the very edge of the fabric. There we go. And lower it on down. Now, I'm going to have to sew just a little bit for it to get in the groove, but there's no problem because I have that little thread handle to help me pull it on in. Now when I get to the very end, coming at the first corner that I have to turn, actually I'm just going to sew right on off, but I'm not going to cut my thread because I need that same thread handle to help me pull it through again. Look at how pretty that hem is. Oh my goodness, it really makes a beautiful little hem. So what I do is I turn it around, I use my thread handle, and I pull it on in. I use my knee lever to gently lift it up so there's no pressure on the top of that hem as I turn it around. And I'm just kissing the very edge of the thread, maybe about 1/8 of an inch in. Oh, I did a pretty good job. Now, if you have trouble and issues with that, what you can do is there's another thing. You can take a little piece of tissue paper. If you still have trouble getting that on in there, you can lay that underneath the fabric after you get everything positioned, and it'll kind of help you pull it on through if you're having some issues. The tissue paper just tears away. So that's not a big thing. It'll take a little bit of practice, but don't forget, make your little thread handle as you pull it on through, and it works really pretty good. So that's a pretty good corner. I want to show you one other thing, and that's my four-sided placemat. Well, it's not mine. I didn't invent it, but I think it's pretty neat. Now, a four-sided placemat is a placemat where you have two sides, but if you fold it in a certain way, you have two more sides. What a great way to use up that fabric. So, how do you put that together? There's the handout, like I said, there's a handout. Go to the description and you can find the handout and the description of that size to cut it, but let's go through the process just really, really quickly. So what I do is I take some Floriani fusible fleece and I cut two pieces that are going to be on two of the pieces of fabric I have for my placemat. I cut them the exact size that I need, and I'm just going to sew on the inside edge of that so I know my placemats are all the same size. I'm going to mark the middle of the two long sides because that's where I need to start and stop sewing. So here I have started. I've done two already. You're going to sew two pieces together, a fusible piece with a fusible fleece and a plain fleece, two sets of those. It's all in your handout. But I'm going to want to start sew right here so that I'm not grabbing any of that other layers of fabric. I'm going to put my needle down right exactly where I need to sew. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to come to the corner and we're going to turn it so that it's a perfect corner. But we're going to leave an opening for turning this placemat set out at the very end. So the very last set that you sew, make a couple marks for yourself, maybe about 5 or 6 inches. We're going to sew up to those. Stop, turn, and just sew off the edge. That's going to pull that lip on in when you turn the fabric right side out. So then I'm going to come on, use my cutter. Now I have my knee lever, don't forget. So I'm going to lower my feed dog. When I come to that corner, I'm just going to use my knee to turn that corner. All hands on deck. Go ahead and turn the corner and just go ahead and start to sew again. Now, let's turn that outside corner. Sew off the corner, and then when you turn around, fold it down like this. And then when you start to sew again, You get that perfectly folded outside corner. It's all in your handout. Now, when I get this all finished, I'm going to have to sew down the middle to hold these layers together. For that, I'm going to use the walking foot that comes with the Baby Lock Accomplish. So here's I've turned it right side out, and then I've marked the center, and I'm going to sew down the center of the two pieces, the outside pieces that have the fleece inside. And I put a couple pins there, and I've made a removable mark. But I don't want my fabric to move and have more fabric on the bottom than I have on the top. I want everything to stay the same. So I'm going to use the walking foot that comes with my Baby Lock Accomplish. Now, what a walking foot does is it lets all the layers flow underneath without putting pressure to scoot the fabric. So let's switch over to that walking foot and you'll see what I'm saying. So I'm going to take off the rolled hem foot. And the walking foot just fits on, kind of like a regular foot. But the one difference is this lever on the side of the foot is going to fit on your needle bar, your needle clamp. And it's going to do the mechanical action of this foot so that it can raise and lower. So once you slide the foot on, then just give it a little bit of tighten with your screwdriver. Now when it sews, it's going to lift and lower those the like little feed dog grabbers in the very front, and it's going to be a little like a little hopper, and it's not going to put pressure on this 4 layers of fabric. So what I've done is I've pulled the other 2 pieces of fabric away. Wonder clips are your best friends. Fool like that, and I'm still using my pin feet on the Baby Lock Accomplish. You can layer, you can adjust the pressure on the foot as well and not have that fabric scoot on you. I don't know if you've ever done a quilt and things have scooted around, but the walking foot really helps you avoid that. So let's bring everything on in. We're going to start right in that center along the mark, lower my presser foot, and here we go. Now you have that little opening once you turn it right side out. You can top stitch along these edges. It's all in your handout to hold everything in place. Wouldn't that make a great kids book also? I think you'll have fun with the 4-sided placemat. So don't be afraid of your narrow hem foot. With a little bit of preparation, you can turn that corner. With your Baby Lock Accomplish, you have the rolled hem foot and the walking foot and all kinds of things to set yourself up for success. Get that fabric out of the stash. Get it out so that you can see it. So I'm going to shoot it over to George. He's going to tell you a little bit more about the Baby Lock Accomplish. Quite frankly, it's my go-to machine when I do my piecing, even when I sew. So home decor, quilting, it's a great machine for all that. So take it away, George. I'm going to finish dressing my table with my WIT fabric.
Thanks, Kathy. Once again, that was a great presentation. Don't forget, you could click on the link to download the instructions to today's presentation. Now, the Baby Lock Accomplish is not the ordinary machine. It is a powerhouse machine that is built on a platform that is industrial quality. From the all-metal commercial rotary hook to the very unique pin feed. This pin feed actually has a pin that comes up through the fabric when the needle comes up. And so what that does, it eliminates any possibility of slippage. Use this with many of the different accessories, like shown here with the commercial quality walking foot attachment going through multiple layers of naga hide, and then also for your quilting. But also I love this flexible foot for going over denim seams and then working with sheer fabric as well. Speaking of accessories, we have this wonderful guide that guides a position for your 1/4 inch or your stitch in a ditch sewing. So this machine is perfect for the quilter, it's perfect for the bag maker, for just that high performance straight sewing that you're looking for in a sewing machine. So this machine right here is at a very special price right now. Don't wait though, we have a limited supply of these. Click on the link and order your machine today. If you have any questions, call us at 1-800-865-9664. Bye for now.